Good day to each and everyone. For the continuation of the different assessment strategies that can increase motivation, let's move on to number 4, which is practice criterion reference assessment rather than norm reference assessment. Why do you think now we should practice criterion reference assessment instead of norm reference assessment? But before anything else, I will further explain what is criterion reference assessment and norm reference assessment. A norm reference test is a type of standardized test that is a test that is identical for every test taker. After the items on the norm reference test are scored, the scores are compared to those of a comparison group or norming group. Because the test taker is compared to other people, the results can be considered subjective. While criterion reference test is an objective assessment that compares a test taker's performance to a set of fixed standards or objectives. Some criterion reference tests are standardized while others are not. In simple explanation, a norm reference test compares the performance of the tester to that of other testers with similar characteristics or demographics, and on the other hand, a criterion reference test is scored on an absolute scale with no comparisons made. So ang criterion reference is much better kesa sa norm reference because it causes threaten sa laing estudyante. Nga naman, kay ang imuhang estudyante is imuhang compare sa laing estudyante, which is very disheartening sa estudyante. Mao nang mas gi-practice ang criterion reference rather than norm reference. Fifth is, if you are indeed criterion referenced, then your assessment is certainly based on established criterion, your learning target or objective. In this case, it has been observed na many teachers set learning objectives where nag-assess og another. And with that, maglibog ang mga estudyante. Next is inspire students to have mastery focus rather than performance focus. With this motivation, as a teacher, you should set the heart of our students to lesson mastery rather than performance, grades, and scores. If they fail guys sa isa ka test or so whatever, we should encourage them nga dili angay babalaka because we can teach them again until they master the topic. Next assessment strategies is have a growth mindset. As a teacher, you should believe nga your students can improve. Sa imo mismo mag-una nga maghunahuna ka nga mo grow and improve pa imong mga estudyante. Bisan pag they fail or got a wrong answer, it is welcome. Dili nato ipafeel na they are not less important kahit tungod lang sa failure or low scores. We should remind them that every mistakes or failures, we can learn from it and grow into a much better person. Next motivation is, your assessment practice must be sensitive and constructive because assessment has an emotional impact. As a teacher, it is our duty to be sensitive especially sa atong comments, remarks, and grades sa mga estudyante because of what we say and how we communicate to them can affect their self-confidence. Judging students harshly doesn't make you a great teacher. It will just ruin the spirit and make them feel belittled or insulted because of the way you treated them. That's why we should be sensitive and constructive. Second to the last is, don't make the test too difficult to discourage students or nor too easy to make them complacent. How can you assess if your test is too easy or too difficult? If sayo mo, they will feel complacent, which means nga very pleased sila sa ilang kaugalingon, or they will feel nga dili na need na magtuon kay gisayonon na sila sa test. If too difficult, mas discourage ang mga estudyante and may result nga gagmay silang score and ma-lower ilang self-confidence. The last assessment strategies is communicate results or feedbacks. A teacher facilitates learning by providing important feedbacks to the students in their learning areas. And now, let's tackle outcome-based teaching learning. What is OBE? Teaching is teaching if learners learn. Learning is measured by its outcome. Whatever approach to teaching is used, the intent should focus on learning rather than on teaching. Outcome-based education, or OBE, is education in which an emphasis is placed on a clearly articulated idea of what students are expected to know and be able to do, that is, what skills and knowledge they need to have when they leave the school system. It is sometimes also called performance-based education and is an attempt to measure educational effectiveness based on results rather than on inputs such as time students spend in class. The student learning outcome constitute the criteria by which curriculum is developed or redesigned, instructional materials are selected, teaching methods are adopted, and evaluation is conducted. There are some tips in OBE teaching learning. The first tip is teachers must prepare the students adequately. Next is teachers must create a positive learning environment. Next is teachers must help their students to understand what they have to learn, why they should learn it, and what use it will be now and in the future, and how will they know what they have learned. Next is teacher must use a variety of teaching methods. Second to the last is teachers must provide students with enough opportunities to use the new knowledge and skills that they gain. And the last tip is teacher must help students to bring each learning to a personal closure that will make them aware of what they have learned. And that will be all. Thank you.